What's going on? DJ Hapa here, and we are actually in beautiful New York City inside of the Serato space. Today we wanted to bring you the Hercules DJ controlled JogVision, our first lesson on this thing, and a first of many to come. So we're going to start with the very basics, and this is the first Hercules controller that works with the Serato software. So today we're going to show you Serato DJ Intro, but this also works with Serato DJ, like the full version of Serato DJ. So if you're already a Serato user and already have Serato DJ, you can plug into the JogVision and it works just like that. If you don't have Serato DJ, you can start with Serato DJ Intro and have the basic functions and features and then upgrade at a later time. So I also want to go over some basic fundamentals, and today I want to start with being able to cue up a sound and things that are really important to us here, which are rhythm and timing, and learning that through basic scratching. So that's where we're going to start today. Along the way, I'll show you a couple of fun features on the actual JogVision, and yeah, let's get going. So first things first, I'm going to cue up a sample. Now, what you want when you're scratching to something, you need two things. One, you need some sort of beat to scratch along to, and then two, you need something to actually scratch with, like a scratch sample. So we've included one of our scratch samples that we'll put into the video that's on the link below, and also a practice track that you can scratch along to. So I'm going to load up the skipless sound on this deck, on my left deck, which is also the A deck, and it is right here. And here is what we're loading up. It's just like that for the entire, I think that's like 1:30 long is what it is. And so it's just going to repeat itself over and over again. It's a skipless track, and what it's designed for is when you're on an actual turntable, so that if the needle skips out of the groove, it'll skip into that same sound. So that's why it's called the skipless track. On the controller and on the software, we don't have to worry about that as much. So you're just going to hear it repeating over and over again. But what I want you to do is I want you to cue up to the beginning of that sound. So that beginning of that ah sound. Right there at the beginning of the sound, I want to mark that. I want to actually set a point so that I can go back to that much easier. So what we can do is we can set a cue point. And that's what these pads are. These pads are actually used for a lot of different things. And you can change the mode of the pad, and we'll show you how to do that later. But the default one is to use cues 1 through 4. So I'm just going to set a cue point right there. I've already got these first two cues in there, so I'm going to use the third one. And if I just hit it, it'll set a mark. And you'll notice that it set that blue mark right here on 3. So it's right there. It's right on the edge of the sample. And even if I'm farther into the track and I hit 3, you'll notice that it jumps back to that spot. So I want to be at that spot. That's number one. So we've got that queued up, and then on the other side, we're going to play a beat. Okay, and so the first scratch that I'm just going to show you is the baby scratch. And with that, we're going to start with an 8th note. For those of you who already have some music theory, this will be great. This is a bit of a review. You can use that and apply that. I started as a drummer and didn't really start applying music theory to scratching until I started teaching. So it's the exact same thing. We're speaking the exact same language with any other musicians that are out there. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I've got my sound queued up, and a couple things that are very important. One, you want to make sure that you are right at the tip of that sound so that when I move it forward, it's right there. So if I'm too far back, there's that bit of a space that's there, so it's not going to be as sharp and as on time. I also don't want to be too far into it. So if I'm not queued up to that exact blue mark there, or the beginning of that ah sound, that doesn't sound good. All right, so we want to make sure that we're at the very beginning of that sound. Now you'll notice on the JogVision there are actually these blue LED lights. They're in the center of the dial. So I can kind of use that as a bit of a visual to make sure that I'm coming back to the same point every time. Now on vinyl records, you'll see DJs putting stickers on the record and things like that, as it does the same thing. It's a visual cue to know that I'm coming back to that same point. I'd like for you to try to avoid staring at the screen and staring at the laptop when you do this, because it'll throw off your timing if you're just staring at the screen. So watching the dial as you're doing this, and even more important, noticing that the sound is set up where it is the most important. So the first thing we're going to start with is an eighth note. An eighth note is forward on every beat. So let me play the track. On every beat, I'm going to move my hand forward. So we're going to get that forward sound on every beat. So it'll sound like this. Nice and simple. I'm trying to pull back to the same place every time. So that's the eighth note. The eighth note is forward on every beat. Now what we can do is we can go up or down from there. So let's go down and let's do a quarter note on that. So again, make sure that the sound is queued up to the same point, right at the edge of it. And the quarter note is going to be half that. So I'll start with the eighth and then I'll do the quarter. So eighth, a quarter is half that. So back to the eighth. Let's go up to 16. Back to the eighth. So that's a couple of scratches to sort of get you started. So eighth notes, 16th notes, quarter notes. We can actually go down from that too and go to half notes, whole notes, and then obviously go up beyond 16ths to 32nd notes, which can also consider a scribble scratch. So the thing that is most important is that music is evenly spaced notes over musical time. So we're absolutely following the beat that is going. If you're not following the beat, it's not going to be in time. And rhythm and timing is super important for not only just scratching, but this is important for when we get into mixing. And that's actually what we're going to get into in a few. So that's basic scratching on the Hercules DJ Control JogVision. We're also going to put up an exercise for you guys to follow along to. So we've created an exercise. Download it. You can follow along to it. It's a great exercise for your rhythm and timing. And that was the basics with the DJ Control JogVision from Hercules. Stay tuned for more with this bad boy right here.